of us are familiar with the story of Chris Bledsoe and the lady that he encountered this being, this entity, possibly a divine entity known as the lady, and that she told him a new age will be ushered in 2026. Specifically, she said, when Regulus rose at dawn in the east, aligned with the gaze of the Sphinx, that it would usher in a new age. And people have been debating about the exact date of that. Some people think she meant 2026. Some people think she meant 2027. But it doesn't matter. Many experiencers are in touch with elements of the phenomenon that are promising contact. But the interesting thing is that the phenomenon has been promising contact for a long time and encountering people for a long time and giving them wisdom. So let's talk about a few cases. Get in here. This is Jack with the Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, yeah, this was this video is inspired by a post by Richard Galtright. I probably mispronounced your name, Richard. I apologize, but thank you for your awesome thoughts here. He says that in 1946, BSRA mediums and silent contactees established contact, claimed they received messages telling them to secretly bring scientists to the desert for a meeting. So that's what I'm talking about, guys. The phenomenon has long been in touch with people and promising more and more contact to come. Who was BSRA? Well, they were created by Mead Lane. She was an academic was an American academic. I got words, guys. I got words. An early researcher of ufology and parapsychology, best known for proposing an early version of the interdimensional hypothesis to explain flying saucer sightings. Lane was born in Wisconsin, it's a he. I'm sorry, I said she is a he. But the interesting thing is Lane was the founder and first director of Borderland Sciences Research Associates, BSRA. And Lane speculated that rather than representing advanced military or ET technology, flying saucers were piloted by beings from a parallel dimension, which he called Etheria, and that their ether ships were usually invisible, but could be seen when their atomic motion became slow enough. And that's, the vibes, right? You gotta get the vibes right. They have to lower their vibration to enter into this reality, which is something that you get from a lot of experiencers. Mead Lane was a forerunner of that idea, and what I think is probably that reality. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of nuts and bolts craft and flesh and blood beings from our reality, but many, possibly most, of these beings seem to come from somewhere entirely elsewhere. Furthermore, Lane argued that Etherians in their ether ships inspired much of Earth's mythology and religion, but that they were truly mortal beings despite having a high level of technological and spiritual advancement. He claimed that their motive in coming to the terrestrial plane of existence was to reveal their accumulated wisdom to humanity. These revelations would be relayed through individuals with sufficiently developed psychic abilities, allowing them to contact the Etherians and communicate with them directly. In particular, he relied extensively on the mediumship of Mark Probert as confirmation of his theories. Now, that's really interesting. He's talking about interdimensional objects. He's talking about how certain people can psychically connect with these objects. Like Chris Bledsoe, he can do this, and it can be recorded by scientific instruments as he's summoning UFOs. I reported on a survey done the other day in South America among experiencers who could interact with UFOs and the phenomenon, and all of them had the same ability to get into an instant Zen state, in a meditative state, instantly to communicate with these beings. It's just so fascinating. So that's why I really think that Mead Lane had a lot of things going on. And he wrote, and the BSRA wrote, The Ethership Mystery and Its Solution. And, you can read that at your leisure, but I think he had a lot of stuff going on. I think he was getting some real knowledge. Now, I don't think all aspects of the phenomenon are positive. He is obviously, very pro phenomenon. And talking about how they're enlightened beings here to help us. And I think there's absolutely an element of that. Hopefully a big element, guys. Hopefully that's a big part of it. But obviously there's a negative element as well. But what did BSRA do? So Richard says for BSRA, they had a private mailing list with dozens of U.S. government contacts. They sent key letters from 1947 to 52 that are in the FBI's archive and have been FOIA'd. For November 52, occultist and silent contactees claim they actually set up the meetings, which is interesting. That's not too far from the Washington, D.C. flyover. Examples of the BSRA stuff I'm finding in the archives. Let's see what Richard has for us. Weird spaceship sighted claim. The Los Angeles Daily News said in a story from San Diego today that many persons there believed a spaceship from another planet had tried to contact Earth during last week's showering of meteors. At San Diego, authorities said they received no reports of such a phenomenon and were frankly skeptical of it. Police said they had received no calls at the time. There we go. Medium backs claim. Meade Lane, editor of an occult publication called The Round Robin, was reported as putting a medium to work on the supposed sighting. The medium claimed it was a spaceship named Carita from an unidentified planet, the news said. He added the ship didn't land because they're afraid of the reception they'll get. So very intriguing that BSRA was doing this stuff back in the day, and that Meade Lane was having this insight into the phenomenon. Like I say, I think he was tapped into something. But Richard goes on, of course, in the George Adamsky story. He claims a meeting in the desert, and I've talked about that before. I've even shown previously unpublished pictures of the being that he interacted with, this Nordic type being. And I don't have that on me at the moment, but you can go and look at my older videos and find that video. It was talking about pictures of aliens, I think maybe the name of the video. And what inspired that video was that image, that previously unpublished image. I'm reporting on someone else publishing that image for the first time. It was a Nordic being that looked a lot like that. And that was, again, never published during George Adamsky's lifetime. I don't even know if it was developed during his lifetime. So, unlikely to be a hoax or anything like that. That seemed, and it was the only one. So, really interesting. I think George was actually in touch with the phenomenon as well. And, of course, the classic George Adamsky flying saucer perfectly corresponds to the Bob Lazar information about the 3 nodes on the bottom. So, I think George was on the level. Is everything he said on the level? I don't know. He had some fantastic stories. But, there's some fantastic stuff out there, guys. I mean, Chris Bledsoe met a goddess, so why not? Why not? What other contacts was Richard talking about back in the day? In 1954, occultist Gerald Light claims a meeting at Edwards Air Force Base. Who is Gerald Light? Let's see. Where is Gerald Light? KookScience.com. That sounds like a good source. Gerald Light, also known under the pseudonym Dr. Kappa, was an American occultist and Saucerian. I still love that word, Saucerian. Commonly noted for his 1954 letter to Meade Lane on the subject of his alleged 2-day tour to Muroc Air Force Base, now Edwards, in which he reported witnessing 5 separate and distinct types of aircraft being studied and handled by our Air Force officials, with the assistance and permission of the Etherians, and further claimed that the then President Dwight Eisenhower had likewise interacted with the Etherians. Previous to this letter, Light had written several articles for Meade Lane's Round Robin and published his own mimeographs claiming psychic contacts with Etherians and detailing a highly occult-influenced cosmology of Etheria. Very intriguing. I think some of these guys were definitely on the level. I don't know about Gerald Light. I have not researched Gerald Light very much, but if you have, let me know your thoughts on him. But yeah, the occult is all tied up in this, of course, and various occultists seem to have had some luck with contact. Jack Parsons was said to have summoned an entity. Aleister Crowley said to have summoned an entity. Did Jack Parsons summon an entity, or did he just have a particular ritual that went either well or awry, depending on the story? But yeah, but Crowley definitely seems to have summoned an entity of some sort, and many other occultists over the years have interacted with the phenomenon, various aspects of the phenomenon. Who knows if the phenomenon was presenting itself authentically to those people, or if it was just shining them on. You want to hope for the best, and I guess we will know when Regulus rises at dawn in the east, aligned with the gaze of the Sphinx. If a new age is ushered in, I guess we will have some idea. But yeah, there you go. There's a few examples brought up by Richard, but of course there are many, many more. Billy Meyer, many others back in the day were interacting peacefully with the enlightened elements of the phenomenon. Now, in the Eisenhower story that we just talked about, in that story, when he met the enlightened beings, the Nordics or Etherians, if we're going to use that word, they were trying to get him to de-nuke. They wanted everybody to disarm. Enough with the nuclear weapons, they were saying. And Eisenhower, they just had won a war with nuclear weapons, and did not believe that the Soviet Union would disarm if he did. So, of course, he did not. And the story is that instead of making a deal with the enlightened beings, that Eisenhower then made a deal with the Greys in exchange for technology. And in return for that, he allowed a certain number of abductions, etc. But that is just one version of the story. There are numerous versions of Eisenhower's meeting. In some versions, he's not even present. When the beings go to Holloman Air Force Base and they meet with the high military officials and not him. So there's different versions of that meeting. If it happened at all. I would love some corroboration on that. Eisenhower's granddaughter thinks it happened, but his grandson says it did not. Anyway, but there you go. The phenomenon has long interacted with people in positive and peaceful ways. It seems like the contacts grew less positive when abductions came to the fore. And, that's unfortunate, but I think we're getting back to that. I think I'm sensing a trend in experiencers that are more positive. But that's just my take, guys. Let me know what your take is in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the like button, smash the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Thank you, Richard, for the awesome information. And everybody go follow Richard on Twitter. He's got great stuff to say, and I will link to it below. So, subscribe, support Cosmic Road by buying some merch in the merch store or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Also, channel members, of course, get to see videos often hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.